Today we're going to talk about step 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to other alcoholics and/or drug addicts and to practice these principles in all our affairs. The whole 12-step program of Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous is a spiritual program. People don't really think about that when they get involved. They just want to stop drinking and drugging. They just don't want to be in pain anymore. But the whole thing about this, I'll speak for myself, was I got more than I bargained for. I got to develop a working relationship with the God of my understanding that gives me strength, it gives me spiritual fortitude, it gives me courage. All people of faith are people of courage. I used to think it was a weakness for me to lean on a God, to have any type of religious leanings, and now I understand just the opposite. When things go bad, rather than running from my higher power, now I run to my higher power. So having had that spiritual awakening didn't happen automatically. It happened by putting in the time and the effort on a daily basis to work these steps. Work, that four-letter word most people are afraid of nowadays, but that's really where the benefit comes from. Think about the hard work it was staying an active alcoholic and an active addict. For me, it was a nightmare. 24/7, I was scamming. Where am I going to get my next drink? How am I going to lie to somebody and say I'm not high? How am I going to look in the rearview mirror? I had two eyeball holes burned in my rearview mirror for looking for the cops chasing me all the time. That was a lot of hard work. Now, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of working the steps, I have a life that I could have only dreamed of. And I carry this message to other alcoholics because, like anything else with karma, for example, to keep something, I have to give it away. If I want to keep my sobriety, I have to help another alcoholic or another drug addict to get sober. If nobody was sitting in those rooms the day I crawled in 25 years ago, looking for a way out, wanting to die because I couldn't stop drinking and drugging, I was committing suicide on a daily basis. I was killing myself, committing an unnatural act, and I was unable to stop. It was driving me crazy. So what I did was I came in here, I worked those steps, and then having had that spiritual awakening, now it's my responsibility to reach my hand out to the next suffering person and help them. And I can tell you, as a person who does it, I always receive more than what I'm giving. I get more than the person I'm helping, and it also keeps it green for me. It reminds me of where I came from. It reminds me of what's waiting for me the day I forget that I will always be an alcoholic and a drug addict, and I get a 24-hour reprieve from that depending on my spiritual condition. And I have to keep my spiritual condition right. When I reach out to another alcoholic or an addict, I'm giving back. That's called 12-step work. 12-step work can be something as simple as showing up at a 12-step meeting and participating. It could be volunteering to do a 12-step call, reaching out to somebody. It could be going to a prison. There's a million different ways. It could be a GSR, a General Services representative for a group. There's a lot of different ways. The idea is you want to participate, you want to get involved. And then here's the last part, is I want to practice these principles in all my affairs. That means that I just don't practice it in an AA room. I just don't practice it with another alcoholic. I practice it in everything I do, the way I live my life, the way I treat my spouse, the type of man I project when I'm out there in public. Am I screaming and yelling at people like a maniac when I leave the AA room because the car's driving too slow in front of me? Am I cheating the boss? Am I padding my expense account? Am I taking the shortcut in my business affairs? These are things that will ultimately lead me back down the road to relapse. So by practicing these principles in all my affairs, I've reaped a benefit. I've gone from basically an unemployable person with no skills to a man of character, to a person who spends his life respecting himself and respecting others. I've become financially successful in my marriage. I'm married to a beautiful woman for 39 years. She's the love of my life. My son is my best friend. My dad is my best friend. My mom is somebody I have an ultimate respect for, that I never even thought about these things when I was drinking and drugging. I was one-dimensional. All I did was think about getting high. So by practicing these principles in all my affairs on a daily basis, I got to realize the joy that comes from being sober. I just didn't want to drink and drug. I wanted to be sober. I wanted to go out there and live life to the fullest. I wanted all the juice that life had to give out, and that's what I did. So what I suggest you do is get a step book, read those steps, get a sponsor, somebody not with 2 days, 2 months, or 2 years, somebody with 10 years time, has some life experience, who can take you through these steps, who can share what they've learned along the way, and can help you experience all the joy and abundance that a life in recovery has to give.